started.
All right, so welcome back to another episode of the Three Wise Men podcast. I am once again with me. I am your host, Mr. Savoy, as always, with my two partners in crime, and Mr. Ingram, Mr. White. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing
Doing
great,
all right,
sir.
man. Doing all
Doing
All
right.
right,
great.
good,
Everything
good.
right.
I
So,
think we had a good conversation the last time, and if you're back. Hopefully, if you hadn't seen that one, please go back and check our channel for previous pod. But if you're with us, certainly welcome back. Um, we are an educational podcast for educators, for mentors, for coaches, for parents, really anyone who is vested in seeing our young people succeed. Right? That is what we are here for. That is why we do this. So if you are of that mind, welcome. Kick your feet up. Please smash that like button, subscribe. We truly appreciate it if you do that. We're going to continue bringing you more content like this every week. All right. So, gentlemen, for today, I wanted to kind of, pursuant to the conversation we had last time, something that I know we had started to get on was this conversation about the role of educators and that relationship between and the role between parent and teacher, right? And where that fits in the education of the child, and how in some ways we are seeing that role kind of, or that a relationship kind of erode,
mhm.
right? And as a result, I feel like we're seeing the devolving, if you will, of that connection that I feel is so critical to seeing young people succeed. If we do believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and I believe you use the term in loco parentis, right? What does that say if the relationship that a teacher has with a parent is now going away, right? It is now less than what it used to be.
Mhm.
And so what I wanted to ask you to start off with is, how do you handle parent teacher communication now, just in a very general sense?
Um, I tried to be completely transparent. I try to avoid it as much as possible.
Avoid
And
converse
uh,
talking to parents at all.
yeah, I do. I try to avoid it as much as possible. Um, um, because I'm a secondary ed instructor. I really work hard to encourage students to be advocates for themselves, and advocate for themselves and begin to take a more active role in their own education. So
Hmm.
there's not an awful lot of room for treating kids as if they're in middle school and constantly, speaking with their parents about their performance in the classroom, for example. But when parents do contact me, I'm responsive. I like to be professional and try to meet whatever expectation the parent may have. But in terms of my initiation of any conversations with parents, it's minimal at best. And I think my interface with parents is sufficient when we have parent teacher conferences and back to school nights and things
Right,
like that.
right.
I think my interface with parents up to that point is sufficient, and they have all the information that they need. Parents have access to websites and they have access to their kids' grade books and things of that nature. So there's no real need for any extensive contact with me and parents at this point in time in the kids' development in school. I mean, I'm a high school teacher.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. White? How do you tend to treat uh, communication, just in general, with parents? What's your mode of operations? What sort of things do you say?
Um, I'm similar to Mr. Ingram. Yeah, I try to limit as much as possible. And it's not that I'm trying to avoid
Right.
the conversation, but it's just really not a need for it. You know, now having been, I think I'm the only one among us who has taught at the elementary level. Now that's a whole different perspective. Uh,
Do you
almost
believe
with
think at that at the middle or elementary level, it's more important to be engaged with parents?
yes, because at that age, and definitely elementary, primary level, uh, parents are more engaged with their children.
Mm,
And oftentimes, the messages that they get from their children are not necessarily the ones that we want to relay to the parent. So I think when we cut out that middleman child and we're direct parent to teacher, uh, it keeps things a little more on an even keel. Uh, I mean, we all have more stories, I'm sure, even at the high school level. Of, when my child came over and said that you said, that, no, that's not what I said. Uh,
hmm.
but definitely at that early age, you're more trying to build relationships with children, and again, they are learning how to communicate with their teachers and trying to uh, you know fit into that mode of communication that comes from the school. Uh, a lot of times I know from my childhood education, everything we used to send home was written. But now, it's electronic. A lot of it can be verbal. Some of it is written. So there's so many modes of communication. But, you know, definitely the younger the child, the more for the personal vocal communication. But like my brother said, high school, you already have many opportunities to communicate whatever you want to parents, and that's on the basic back to school nights.
Yeah.
And again with report cards, you know, I don't need to call you to tell you what your child's grade is. You should be able to see it. You should know what it is because you should have been following it. So it's no surprise to anyone. So again, a phone call from your teacher about your grades is usually not warranted. At the high school level.
I do remember the dreaded. I'm sending a note home with you and your parents. And they got to sign it and bring it back, and that was the longest walk home ever. Right,
You purposely lost it
right,
a few times.
right, right, right. Oh, I need to get my friend to sign it and make it look right.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that, right. And so if you're I certainly remember a time or two where I would, if I didn't do it, I knew kids who did it. Right, where that was a thing. Um, Unlike, I know you guys grew up in education. I'm a bit different. I actually grew up, well, not grew up, but I actually have more of a customer service background than the two of you did. And suffice it to say, I've gone through um, I'm HBCU educated. I see we all have got our shirts on here today. Where I'm HBCU educated, but I also got my master's at a PWI. So but I find as much as anything, I use my customer service background in education as much, if not more. And certainly where that comes to play is when I interact with parents. Right? Which again, much like you all, I find I tend not to initiate as much, um, for some of the reasons for many of the reasons that you guys have already vocalized. But I do always tell them, and I certainly at like back to school nights, which are usually at the beginning of the school year, I tell them, hey, you send me an email, I will respond within 24 hours. And that is for me, that is my customer service background kicking in,
Yeah.
right? I will respond back as quickly as I can. If I don't know something, I will tell you I don't know, and I will try to find out the answer, all that. so on and so forth. And I try to approach things in a manner where it's like I know if a parent is reaching out to me, much like into my old customer service jobs, I know someone's reaching out to me. It's rarely for a good thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I gotta deal with parents and adults from the standpoint that I know they're already calling, they're reaching out to me already likely agitated or stressed,
Mhm.
right? But I, I tell them if you have questions, I'm here. But I do also subscribe to this idea that the parents are hopefully engaged. Like you see your kid 23 hours out of, well, not 23 hours a day, but you see him certainly more hours out of the day
Mhm.
than I do. Although in school overall, we do keep them longer. But you see your kid consistently, you have an idea who your child is.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you have an idea who your kid is. And my prayer would be that parents have these kind of conversations with them so they know. But I know that doesn't always happen. And again, I'm going to ask you a question, much like on the last one. Like, what factors have played a role in the way we've seen teachers, like the role of teacher has now, I feel like, has now changed in this country. We've seen, um, we've seen policy come in that now changes the value of education degrees. And I think it wasn't even really until COVID came in that where people were teaching at home where we started to see, oh wow, teachers do a lot. We're like,
Mhm.
yeah we do,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
What happened? There was a time, and maybe it was in the 50s or 60s or even before that, where there was a level of deference that goes to this profession,
Mhm.
which is an honored profession, right?
Yeah.
But we have now seen that this profession is not treated the same way. We certainly don't get up and walk into the school building every day for the pay.
No.
So what happened?
Um, we could write a book,
Or two.
or two. There are volumes that could be written on that question. Um, um, so I'm at the church house today, and it's interesting that we're having this conversation where the preacher talked about the church being a source where people go to receive a product, and therefore develop a customer relationship with the church, right? And you mentioned customer service, and the whole thing just hit me, just kind of blindsided me. So I'm going to steal from it.
Mm,
So has schools become the relationship with students a customer relationship with us, the teacher, the provider of said product for the customer, the student, and our students is really customers? Um, I don't know. I don't know if we should be classifying students as customers, and we, the teachers, are somehow, some way, customer service representatives. No,
mm.
no, I don't think we're customer service representatives.
I feel like some people think
Uh,
that the adults are
yeah,
customers.
and then I think that gives rise to the difficulties in the relationships that's evolved over time between the consumer, i.e., the student, the parent,
Mm,
and the teacher and the school system, because it just seems that they believe, parents and students these days, that they are there to receive customer service. Excuse me, I'm not a customer service rep. You were one, but you're not now.
hmm
We are teachers. We are instructors with a certain discipline, and it takes a certain discipline to master these subjects. We're not customer service reps, and I think when parents and students don't believe they receive customer service, they somehow find themselves in an adversarial relationship when it should be a relationship of advocacy. And I think there's a paradigm shift that's going to be needed to make sure that parents begin to rethink their relationship with schools and parents. And we are not customer service representatives. We never have been. Now, there is a certain degree of those skills that customer service representatives possess that I think everybody in any position ought to possess. But at the same time, that's not our function nor purpose. We are there for its explicit purpose, and that is to move the needle of a kid's knowledge of a certain topic or discipline. That's our dang job. At the same time, prepare them for the real world of either the military or college or the workforce. That's our function and purpose.
How
Uh,
come so many parents want to come in and be like, I need to speak with your manager?
exactly, exactly, exactly. I need to speak to the manager. The
Yeah,
principal's not a daggone manager.
exactly, exactly.
They are a man. They are in management of this institution called a school. Yes, but are you kidding me? They're not the manager of McDonald's,
Mhm.
or Raytheon or any other
Right.
company out there. And schools are not companies. There's a reason why we are called institutions of learning. But somehow, some way, this corporate notion of how schools should be run and this whole customer service notion that teachers should be operating within, I think that it might be the root cause of the relationship that we have with parents and students in general, because they actually think that they're there to receive a product and customer service instead of instruction.
Let me get it my way. Fast food my way.
Yeah,
Yes,
and I
yeah, yeah,
think
and
too
that's their problem.
that always having to blame someone for failure
Yeah.
sets us up as public school educators to be chopped, right off the bat. Uh, education has always been a scapegoat for those who have and those who have not. And I think too many times now, if your child is not succeeding in school like you want them to, you want to blame the teacher all the time. And it's something that
There it is.
we aren't doing.
Hmm.
Now, I'm, I'm a child of an educator. My dad started teaching in 1955. And I remember in the 60s as a young person, again, I'm 4 or 5 years old, witnessing the relationships that my dad was fostering with parents and kids. Now, these people are older. Some of them are dead now,
Mhm.
but my dad's 96. And people still stop by the house to talk to him and thank him, not necessarily for what he taught them about the building trade, but what he taught
Mhm.
them about life.
Sure.
And I just feel that, back to this customer service,
Yeah.
they look at us as we are the give all for everything. If my child didn't pass a test, it's your fault because you didn't teach him. And
Yeah.
I think, this adversarial relationship
Yeah.
that so many parents have with their kids.
Mhm.
And
I didn't get my money's worth.
it's always something we didn't do. And what some you said earlier, you know, you so if the short period of time that I'm having with your child is delving into this negative, then you spend more time with him than I do. He should be reflecting more of your positiveness than what he's receiving from me. But everything bad has to always come from the school when in reality it's the exact opposite. And
Right.
I'm just one of these
Mhm.
people that is getting
Mhm.
a little tired of parents dumping on teachers.
Yeah.
You know, I I, I don't go into a classroom looking to make enemies.
Right.
You know, I'm looking to pass students, not necessarily making friends, but I'm definitely not looking to make enemies. And when a parent finally realizes
Mhm.
that after some adversarial situation or whatever, that you finally realize that we as teachers have your child's best interest at heart, and we wouldn't be in this situation if I didn't. Again, if that we are having a conflict and it didn't matter to me that we changed it, I would just let it go.
Sure.
And we wouldn't even be having this situation. We wouldn't be in the principal's office or whatever, you know. But too many times we find ourselves in these type meetings and in these type situations, and we still are treated like the enemy.
I think that's interesting because it's always thought whenever there's a student v uh teacher dispute, homework grade, homework assignment grade, whatever, you know, and parent finds out, parent of course they're going to want to advocate for their child. You know, the common perception might be on the other side of this, the advocate on behalf of the teacher is going to be the administrator. But are we finding that that is true so much that whenever these people pick their sides, and that the teacher's advocate is the administrator, and I'm not sure that that's the case. I'm not sure that it is not the parent who is the arbiter in the middle of it. Like, parents have an extraordinary amount of sway and or power that maybe they don't realize in these situations.
Well, I think it goes back to what we said earlier. If educators have been trained in the school of thought that we are sources of customer service, then the relationship between the building manager instead of the principal, it should be a principal instead of a building manager, is going to change with regards to how they view the job that their teacher is doing. So if the teacher is not making the customer, i.e., the parent, happy, then there must be something going on with the teacher.
Mm,
So the manager, i.e., the principal, has to correct the teacher because the customer is not happy. And then, as I said before, that's the craziest relationship and dynamic that I've ever seen in the schoolhouse. That's ridiculous. But this is what teachers are faced. You have a principal who's been schooled in the idea that they're working in a corporate environment, and somehow, some way, that the parent is now a consumer of some product that we're delivering. What are we producing? Widgets? We're not producing widgets. We're educating people. So the whole relationship that, as we've already pointed out, is insane. If the principal has been schooled in the whole idea that we're here to provide customer service,
And the customer is always
and the
right.
customer is always freaking right.
so then what does that do to what does that do to the relationship between admin and teacher?
It
When
strains it
It's
tremendously.
crazy,
and
tremendous.
It's
and
a tremendous strain, and you see it yourself, brother. Absenteeism among the faculty goes through the roof. You
we
name it.
have teacher
You
shortages
teacher
and
shortages.
Mhm.
It's crazy. We don't have a teacher shortage per se. We just have few people that's interested in coming to the business to teach. I mean,
so
what is the source of the teacher shortage? Plain and simple. The administration of these damn schools. Who in their right mind? Because I know all three is crazy.
yes.
Who in their right mind want to come into this business? Who?
And to add another little on to that, who would stay in this business for years?
For 30 years,
Mhm.
except
Yeah,
I don't even know if I'm gonna make it 30 years. I don't
I
think I'm gonna make
swear.
it 30. Right.
In a lot of ways, but it's a ministry in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
It's a ministry, and if you don't have that spirit in your soul to just do, then you probably won't survive in this business
Mhm. Mhm.
because of the nonsense that we've just identified. I mean, how do you change the paradigm? They help parents and administrators understand that we are not in a customer service environment. We're not. But somehow, some way, that has seeped into our industry in such a way where it's destroying the kind of relationship that we know we need to help these kids be successful.
And as coaches, that's a whole different paradigm. That would take two shows to talk about because it's just ridiculous. I realized after my last few years that I'm too old. I'm too old. My way of doing things, my expectations
Mm.
of what players and parents,
Hmm.
their interaction should be with the team, with the team. You know, I don't know how many times over these last 20 years of 20 plus years of coaching that, uh, you have to literally tell parents, this is my team, you know. And I've often told parents, well, if you feel that strongly, you go ahead and take your child home with you.
Mm.
All right, because we're just not going to do that. Now, I will be often called to the office, because I've said something. But what am I supposed to say?
Mm.
That you do have a say in how this team is administered, and your feelings do come into play when we are thinking about playing time. Now, we're talking high school, varsity level sports, or we talking little league.
Right.
We're talking church league, and to have these frank conversations with parents a lot of times, it's not enjoyable. And again, why would someone even want to be a coach
Yeah.
in environment these days? I know as a younger man, of course, you want to be a head coach. You feel you're ready. You got so much. After 24 years, I don't want to coach anymore.
Mm.
I get a little better feeling watching
Hmm.
than coaching now. And I love coaching. I love kids. Love working with athletes. Love developing athlete and watching them rise. And having that
And mature and
yeah,
grow and all that.
exactly, all of those things, and then that athlete come back to you and thank you. And you get those every now and then,
Sure,
but
sure.
those that's why you coach. That's not
Mhm.
not for the majority of the people who go question everything you do. And God forbid that the parent was a former athlete, or oh, they know everything and you know absolutely nothing. So again, I questioned myself: did I want to take this anymore? And I came to the conclusion, no, I can't take it anymore. Uh, I just said, it was just time for me to step down.
I
It's
guess.
just time for me to step down.
I don't know what it's going to take to turn this battleship around in the harbor, um, and to help folks understand that we are not customer service agents. We are actually agents of change in young people.
Mm.
Um, the things that we say and share with young people just doesn't happen in Walmart when you walk to the store looking for some eggs.
Mhm.
But I don't understand how anybody could suggest that what we do is anything related to customer service. Um, um,
Agents of change. Stamp that one.
yeah. I mean, and our students and our former athletes will come and tell you that you're not just in the midst of customer service. You were like a father to me, is what they're going to
Wait,
say.
I'm so glad you brought that up because actually that is kind of where I wanted to go next, right? When you talk about the devolving of the parent teacher relationship,
Mm.
what if a child's situation at home is such that you now become both, if you know what I mean? You become both. You're in this circumstance of becoming both parent and teacher at times in the classroom. You are now,
In a lot of ways, brother, depending on your relationship with students and how you move in the schoolhouse, a lot of that stuff comes your way, and you didn't even choose for it to.
Right.
It's organic. I don't think
Yeah,
any
and,
walk the okay now come see
yeah,
me. I'm school dad.
yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way.
And with that moniker comes so much more on your plate. Because not only are you school mom, school dad, you are now school counselor,
Mm-hmm.
you're a social worker,
Mm-hmm.
you are a psychologist, you are a financial planner a lot of times, you know. And again, these are situations that you will find yourself advising kids on a level that, you know, you are their their dad, their
Yeah.
mom, you know.
You
In local
Yeah,
communities.
exactly.
right.
You are the
Uh,
parent on
Yeah,
location.
yeah,
You're not some rep. You are it.
Mm. And I know for so many of us, like black male educators make up less than 2% of faculty in this
yeah.
country. But I know certainly for us, we are often thrown in the position of being the disciplinarian,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I know that there are cases where a student might hear from the female educators, and sometimes for them it feels like it may feel like someone trying to be their mom, but they're not their mom. Like, and I get used to hearing this voice so much so
Mhm.
often, then I'm just going to dismiss it. Um, and for black male educators, we are often put in a position like we are the disciplinarian
Mhm.
for the black boys in our
Oh yeah.
class,
Yes.
Mhm.
right?
And for
Right.
the others too.
We are automatically put
Mhm.
in that position to have to be the disciplinarian,
Mhm.
as opposed to simply just being
Mhm.
the purveyor of conveyor of you know subject matter,
Mhm. And
right?
for instance, we came up with a term for that. We call ourselves Mr. Heavy.
Mr. Heavy.
Mr. Heavy.
Explain that.
Well, like you were saying, everything's on us. Everything's heaped on us. Discipline. Uh, not just for black boys, but in many situations, I've gotten the reputation that that's Mr. White. He don't play, so you automatically are assumed to take control of the black kids. But now, any kid, regardless of race. So again, the black male teacher being called on to do everything, and again, you carry a lot of weight. You got a load to carry, so that you're Mr. Heavy. You
And
always.
hard. How hard is that? How hard is that?
It's almost impossible, brother. When you do.
See, our problem, gentlemen, is that we make it look easy. See, that's our problem. We make it look easy. We
Yeah,
cruise into these
yeah,
hallways and bathrooms, locker
yeah,
rooms.
yeah,
We say whatever the heck we want to say.
yeah.
Kids move.
Yeah, boo.
Folks look around, can't figure out how it happened.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's just something that I think that we are just blessed with by the master
yeah.
on high. I can't explain it. Nobody seems to be able to explain it. But when we walk in the room, people know that we're in the room.
Well,
We don't have to announce ourselves or anything else, brother.
but I was saying, I think because we offer the discipline from the quote unquote parent or teacher end of this, but that comes with also the other things that maybe are also part of being a parent. We are responsible for not just the discipline in those instances, but also for the teaching, for the empowering, for the the, like you said, sometimes the counselor part of understanding why a kid might have done X, Y, or Z. Like, what's going on with you? Why are these things not done? What else is happening? Right.
You know what you
And so,
just described, bro?
mm-mm,
You described what dads do.
right, parent.
You literally described what dads do.
Mhm.
And you described what present dads do. And we are present every single day, and these kids look at us that way.
Mhm.
It ain't nothing we can do about it.
Mhm.
because that's kind of how we're wired as men. There's
And I
nothing about it.
they got life experiences as black men
Yeah.
learning. We definitely would not be in the situation we are right now if we didn't learn how to play the game and weren't instructed in the rules of the game by somebody black.
Hmm.
There was some black male that gave us some guidance, whether it be a parent, stepfather,
Coach,
coach, other brothers, but some black male gave us some
give
advice,
us a
a
clue.
little bit of direction to put us in the situation we are right now.
And the youngins are looking to it. They're looking for the light.
Mhm.
And I think it's just a blessing that we could be a source of delight for some
Yeah.
of these
Yeah.
youngins.
Well,
They try to figure out how to get to play to plan A to
So
plan B.
how do we get parents to understand all of this?
I don't think we
I
do.
don't think we do because I think you just you make it look too easy. They look at us. Why can't I do that?
Exactly.
You know, and then it becomes
But they're
when
the parents.
when you try to you offer a little
They're
advice
the
on it,
parents.
and
They're the
don't tell me how
parents.
to
They made them.
don't tell me how to raise my child. Yeah, yeah, so again, that damn if you do, damn if you don't. But like I said earlier, if it goes wrong, I'm gonna blame you.
It kind of reminds me of a story. Bill Russell. You probably remember the story. I know you probably remember the story. Um, where he was coaching and had the guys on the court. He was coaching, trying to teach them how to rebound and get it back up to the rim. And he was coaching them. They weren't getting it. He gets out there, demonstrate. He gets back and he's coaching and coaching and coaching. They still don't get it. He demonstrates it again. He steps back, coaching. He said, and one of the players said, "Wait a minute. Don't you know that you Bill Russell? We can't do what you
You
do.
do what you do.
You Bill Russell."
Yeah.
And hello, Bill. Hello, Mr. Russell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not everybody is built and are able to do what we do.
Yeah.
It's just not there. It's a reason why 2% of the faculty, teaching faculty in the United States are black men. It's a reason because everybody can't do what we doing. And walk into just about any environment, any situation, in any high school, and I guarantee you it can be handled and managed quickly
Mhm.
by all kind of black men across this country, and it's happening. And so, why is it that more men like ourselves are in the industry? Probably the pay. You're not going to get the immediate feedback that you would generally like in a job or a career. It takes time to get to this place where we are,
Yeah.
and not in today's generally they're not interested in putting that kind of time in.
And
So it
I
just kind
think
of
you
is what it is.
you 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 find fewer of us in public education.
Yeah.
And this whole push towards funding private education, the need for us dwindles when private schools can handpick who they want and can handpick the best and the brightest from schools and leave the rest of them for us.
Mhm.
And again, puts us in a unique situation. But like you said, it's always in a situation we do this job too well, and there's a need. The reason why people focus on the fewer numbers of black male teachers, all across this country, because we are a much needed commodity in education.
Here's what concerns me is right currently policy has, and I don't know if it's been enacted yet, that and I alluded to this at the top, at the top of the pod, of how education degree or requirements are now being modified to allow quote unquote more practical experience as opposed to actual education. And education degrees are now being, I don't know, minimized in such a way that so that
Well,
salary requirements are supposedly now different, which suggests people think that they can solve a teacher shortage by throwing anybody with practical experience in
well,
here
well,
to do this.
the to me, the education industry has got some skin in this game too. Because why do you have people teaching subjects that they didn't major in? They majored in education. So why are they teaching government? But shouldn't you major in government's going to teach government? I got questions about these a lot of education degrees in general. And I think that kind of opens the door for a Trump administration to reclassify degrees because of that. Because it would be different if all these education degrees were teaching classes in education. But how much depth of knowledge does a person have
In a
if they're
particular
teaching
subject.
history
Right.
with an education degree? So I think the education industry hurt themselves in that way,
So in
in
other
a lot of
words,
ways.
they may know how to teach, but they have no idea what history
They
is.
don't they don't
They
know
don't know anything about
they
history.
have no content knowledge. So and I think that hurt the profession in a lot of ways. That I'm willing to bet a lot of educators are not willing to have that conversation in that frank way. And then now it's here. These degrees are getting reclassified, and is really, as you just pointed out, making things even tougher for the profession in general. Right now, people like you and ourselves, man, we just like caught between a rock and a hard place because we did do the work in the content area. We did do the freaking work. We did the work.
And you kind of see this
I'm like, damn.
focus in some people's minds that anybody can teach.
Yeah,
Anybody can teach. If you have a college degree,
yeah,
anybody can teach,
yeah.
and that's just
We spent a lot of time in our country. And that's when we had the conversation last part, right?
Right.
Your background, bro, in African American history studies is Bob. And why would a principal put you in anything else but that? That's the shit I'm cussing up. Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. But that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about, right? Put people in the best position to be successful in what they do. So, and what are you going to do with a master's degree in education and you're teaching, let's say, world history? You had better have a damn background. And, what are you going to say to students who have questions about the Cro-Magnon man with you standing there with your master's degree in this case?
Few people get history degrees.
Exactly, exactly.
Right.
I know you holding yours, but
Yeah.
I already know you're a
Yeah.
history degree holder. I
Yeah.
mean, damn. I mean, but it has no value in the world of customer service. Okay, I'm gonna leave it
Mm.
alone now. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm still on that. I'm still on that. I'm still on.
So what would good advocacy at this point even look like? Obviously, we're establishing we're not getting enough. We're not getting enough good advocacy from parents to help us facilitate the education of our children, right? What would good advocacy at this point even look like in this day and age? How do we even attempt to try and get there?
Um, uh, to be brief, good advocacy just looks like space and trust is what I'm gonna
Mm.
say. Good advocacy looks like.
I would concur. Let the teacher teach, and we'll look at the results.
Let me cook.
Let me go.
Let me just sit back and let me cook. Watch me work, bro.
Exactly.
Watch me
Exactly.
work.
A lot of knowledge up in there.
All right, y'all. I think we're gonna call it quits here. But again, we are glad you are with us here. Once again, this is the Three Wise Men podcast. I like to feel that we're wise. We're wise in many ways, not every way, but
Mhm.
many ways. Either any case, we are glad that you are with us. Once again, if you got this far, please smash that like button, subscribe to us. Right? We are we're gonna hold it down. We're gonna hold it down until the cows come home, until we get good advocacy, right? One way or another. Right. So until then, for Mr. White, Mr. Ingram, I am Mr. Savoy. We will see you on the next time. All right. Take care. Signing off.
And